I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Now, today we're reading from the Song of Solomon, chapter 5, and let's focus on verses 2 and 3. I sleep, but my heart is awake. It is the voice of my beloved. He knocks, saying, "Open for me, my sister, my love, my dove, my perfect one, for my head is covered with dew, my locks with the drops of the night. I have taken off my robe. How can I put it on again? I have washed my feet. How can I defile them?" So early into chapter 5, we enter into another of the Shulamite girl's dream sequences. And unlike her dream in chapter 3, this one is anxious and it is troublesome. We must remember that this is eyewitness news set to poetry. It's historical, literal, and yet it's written about two actual people whom Solomon observed, and then he declared that they had obtained the love of loves. And their story would then constitute the Song of Songs. And this is something Solomon had never experienced, even though he had 1,000 wives and concubines. 1 Kings 11, verses 1 through 6. But King Solomon loved many foreign women, as well as the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites and Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, and the Hittites, from the nations of whom the Lord had said to the children of Israel, "You shall not intermarry with them, nor they with you. Surely they will turn your hearts after their gods." Solomon clung to these in love. What God said don't do, he did it in love. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines. And his wives turned away his heart, for it was so when Solomon was old, that his wives turned his heart after other gods, and his heart was not loyal to the Lord his God, as was the heart of his father David. So it's easy to understand Solomon's appreciation for a love so pure and undefiled, and why he wanted everyone to know about and imitate it. Because of Solomon's moral downturn, some suggest that this book is just simply Solomon's imagination and dirty poetry. Its description of eros, passionate, physically demonstrative love, well, that makes some people uneasy. In fact, I've purposely not included its graphic elements because I want to remain sensitive to some people's feelings. But the graphic nature of certain passages in the Song of Solomon brings to mind how our culture has really distorted eros love, sexual passion. You know, Pastor James MacDonald identifies these ways that the world distorts passion. MacDonald describes these distortions as, number one, he calls it eros prudish. What is that? It's the idea that eros, passionate love, is bad, or that it's dirty. Hey, if you're married and you refuse to have fun and to smile in the bedroom, that's Victorian. That somehow eros, as God has designed it, has been stolen from you. So some are eros prudish. Others are eros prominent. Some folks say that you should only think about eros. So adult bookstores outnumber McDonald's restaurants, 4-1, by the way. And only 1 out of 3 high school graduates say that they are virgins. Only 1 out of 3. You see, our culture has become eros prominent. That is, they have become obsessed with sex and sexuality. Others become eros promiscuous. What is that? It's the idea that the thrill of youthful eros, only that can come from multiple partners. Others say even that we should move toward eros perversion. What received capital punishment almost 100 years ago was locked away in prison 50 years ago and hidden because it sickened people 25 years ago, is paraded and celebrated and protected and government funded today. Song of Solomon is in the Bible for a reason, and not as an example of dirty poetry from a perverse mind. God doesn't need to reinforce how depraved Solomon was. He can say that through other terms and does. So what God wants us to receive here is the example of undefiled, biblical, human, physical passion. Because within the confines of biblical marriage, eros love is considered very good in the eyes of the Lord. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. You know, Groundworks Ministries operates entirely through financial donations from faithful people like you. And yes, we need your monthly support. Donating is secure and it's easy at our website, groundworksministries.com. Another way to help is just tell people about us. Tell them about Groundworks Ministries. Share these podcasts with friends and family and on your social media. And of course, you can always direct folks to our website, groundworksministries.com.